I heard Daniel chatting with a bunch of industry big shots. Lily is useless except for her youth. Compared to her, Sarah is more intellectual. I'm starting to regret getting married. Keeping a young mistress doesn't cost that much, but divorcing now would be too big a loss. Turning around, I handed him the divorce agreement, seeing the black and white words stating I would relinquish all marital assets. He let out a sigh of relief. Then, pretending generosity, he said, "I'll give you $20 million as compensation." I smiled and refused. I'm still young. I can afford to play. He didn't know my brother is a major player in the East Coast elite network. All these years, his ability to squeeze into the circle of industry big shots was entirely thanks to my brother's support. Divorcing me, his losses were just beginning. For my senior year internship, to see my handsome Daniel a little more each day, I resolutely went to Sterling Corp. As a low-level employee, I was so low-key that even Daniel didn't know I was there. I was afraid of bothering him, of distracting him occasionally. I'd overhear other interns discussing Mr. Sterling. I listened carefully but never spoke up. Mr. Sterling is so handsome. 35 is truly a man's golden age. Too bad he's married. And his wife seems to be just some young girl. Sigh, why don't I have such good luck? When I was 18, to express his feelings, on the very first day he pursued me, Daniel stated he was serious about marriage. He gave me the wedding ring right away. I responded with enthusiasm, dated for a year, then got married, impulsive and infatuated, sweet and happy. He gave me a fairy tale romance beyond imagination. The CEO's love, direct and overwhelming, like a rushing flood, swept me off my feet. If I hadn't come to intern at his company this time, perhaps I would never have known his secrets. Sarah Miller, Daniel's secretary, sexy and beautiful. A typical mature woman, she often accompanied Daniel on business trips and business dinners. She handled the company's affairs, large and small, understanding the company's situation even better than Daniel. Therefore, before people knew Daniel was married, everyone at the company assumed Sarah was the boss's wife while getting food in the cafeteria. I'd also hear old employees who'd worked with Sarah complain, "Mr. Sterling has poor judgment. He has such a beauty like Sarah by his side and doesn't appreciate her. And it's a shame Sarah quit her executive position at a public company to come to be Mr. Sterling's secretary. Just watch, once the initial spark fades, Mr. Sterling will eventually divorce and end up with Sarah." There were many rumors. I didn't pay them much mind, after all. The passion between Daniel and me played out every night, until one business dinner, Sarah got drunk and confessed her feelings to Daniel in front of everyone. It was more than a confession, it was forcing Daniel to choose. Sarah asked Daniel if she was in his heart. Daniel remained silent for a long time. Sarah asked again, "If I'm not in your heart, why won't you approve my resignation letter?" Daniel's expression was heavy. He replied with one word, "Yes." Then, he looked at Sarah deeply. "You are in my heart. I can't do without you. So I can't approve your resignation, okay?" Sarah smiled, downed the glass of liquor on the table, picked up her bag, and walked out. The air froze for 2 seconds, then Daniel chased after her. Those who attended that gathering were partners who had worked with Daniel and Sarah for many years. I wasn't there, but a close friend of mine, Chloe, who loves gossip, recorded that scene and sent it to me privately. Chloe asked me, "Do you think something will happen between Mr. Sterling and Sarah tonight?" I replied, "Probably not. They're adults. They've known each other for so many years. Their feelings are so deep. They drank, they confessed, and nothing will happen." I firmly typed back, "Mr. Sterling is married. He should know his limits, and besides, Sarah doesn't need to be the other woman." "You're right, but we'll know tomorrow whether anything happened or not." I didn't understand what Chloe meant by "we'll know tomorrow," but the moment I exited her chat window, I knew the answer. Daniel sent me a message. He said he wouldn't be back tonight, as there was a last-minute business dinner. My heart trembled. Immediately, I called him. At first, no one answered. I called several times in a row. Daniel finally picked up. "Honey, my phone was on silent. I didn't hear it. What's up?" I suppressed my emotions. My fingernails digging into my flesh. "Daniel, are you not coming back tonight?" "Yeah, it's a gathering. Everyone's here. I can't leave, honey. Please understand." I gritted my teeth and continued to ask, "Are there any women at your gathering?" He paused, then chuckled. "No. Since when do you like keeping tabs on me? Want to video call so I can prove my innocence?" While he was speaking, I heard rustling sounds, like expensive shirts against hotel sheets. In the past, when we were madly in love, I often heard that sound. Humph! A muffled groan came from Daniel. The knot in my heart, surprisingly, loosened in that instant. Having been with Daniel for 3 years, we'd shared many intimate moments. I knew too well what that humph meant. It was his emotional release after strenuous enjoyment. This detail, perhaps, he hadn't even noticed. Good. I didn't even need to stop him from cheating. He had already done it. I forced a bitter laugh. No need for a video call. I'm afraid it would make me blind. Take your time. I'm going to sleep first. My heart was dead. I was ready to hang up. Then Daniel spoke again from the other end. His voice was hoarse and low. Honey, we finalized a big deal tonight. Starting tomorrow, everyone will be working late. I might be working late for a while. You don't need to wait for me for dinner these days. Was it working late, or working late with Sarah? To me, it no longer mattered. The call ended. I didn't sleep all night, sporting a pair of dark circles. I arrived at the company. My mind was still blank when Chloe rushed over to continue the gossip from last night. Something happened between Mr. Sterling and Sarah last night. I frowned slightly, then she said, Mr. Sterling's clothes were wrinkled this morning, and he was wearing the same outfit as yesterday. Doesn't that mean he didn't come home last night? I nodded, lacking the energy to praise her observation. She continued, Sarah was late this morning too. She came in looking radiant. She's usually so decisive and efficient, but today she looks completely transformed. I asked her, how transformed? She thought for a moment. More radiant, sexier, and more delicate. See for yourself. Looking up, I saw Sarah walk in wearing a tight bodycon dress. I had seen this dress before. I had seen it when I was shopping with Daniel and liked it. But they didn't have my size at the time, so I paid the salesperson and placed an order, telling them to ship it to Daniel when it arrived. Now it seemed the dress had arrived, but the recipient of the gift had changed. Sarah was in a good mood. As soon as she came in, she asked everyone what they wanted to drink, saying it was her treat. Everyone cheered excitedly. Sitting in the corner, my heart was a mix of emotions. I tried to numb myself with work, but it didn't help. The morning passed in a daze until noon. I was sitting at my desk, eating takeout. Sarah, meanwhile, carried large bags of fancy food into Daniel's office. She went in and stayed there all afternoon. She came out again in the evening, close to quitting time. Chloe, next to me, clicked her tongue twice, lamenting, things are getting worse, of all people. Sarah had to fall for a married man, Mike, who sits closer to the CEO's office, said that as soon as Sarah went in, she practically jumped into Mr. Sterling's lap. They almost turned the office into a hotel room. After saying that, Chloe even sent me photos Mike had secretly taken. Sarah was sitting on Daniel's lap, feeding him. Their expressions and postures were incredibly intimate. I wondered how sad Mr. Sterling's wife would be if she saw this scene. Chloe sighed softly. Manager Henderson, sitting across from us, frowned. They're smitten with each other. Why are you guys getting involved? Chloe didn't catch Manager Henderson's meaning and added jokingly, that's right, she's the mistress. Manager Henderson became displeased and threw a report binder at Chloe. Since you're so free, finish this. You're not leaving until it's done. Chloe looked dejected. I quietly sent her a message. Manager Henderson and Sarah go way back. He's definitely on Sarah's side. So don't say things like that again. Chloe replied with a crying emoji. I comforted her. I'll help you with that binder. Let's finish it quickly and leave. I'll treat you to burgers and fries. She became cheerful again. That evening, after we finally finished the late work and were about to go eat burgers and fries, Manager Henderson called out to us again. You worked hard, staying late. Let's grab a late snack together. Manager Henderson gave us no chance to refuse. He immediately took us to a restaurant near the company. After eating, we were led to a karaoke bar. We were reluctant, but we couldn't do anything. As interns, we don't have much say, sitting in a dark corner. We simply started playing Fortnite. We were so engrossed in the game that we didn't notice a number of people gradually entering the private room, until I heard a familiar voice. That's when I saw Daniel, surrounded by a group of industry big shots, sitting in the main seat. At first, they were talking about projects. Later, they started talking about their personal lives, talking about their kids, wives, in-laws, and of course, their affairs. I saw Sarah post on Instagram saying true love finds a way. What, did you finally come to your senses and take Sarah to bed? Someone asked. I couldn't help but perk up my ears. Daniel said calmly, you don't understand the situation that day. I had no choice. Sarah was forcing me. If I didn't keep her, she would resign. You know how long Sarah has been with the company. The company absolutely cannot do without her. Of course. You could also say I cannot do without her, so Sarah is okay being the mistress. Daniel, be careful not to mess this up later. Yeah, we saw how much effort you put into marrying that young girl back then. Never mind how stable your outside affairs are. If your wife at home finds out, won't she raise hell? That's not how it is. Sarah doesn't mind, so why should that young girl mind? Daniel has spoiled her for years. How could that young girl accept going back to an ordinary, mundane life? Even if she finds out about the outside affairs, she definitely won't act rashly. At least she has the title of Mrs. Sterling. She's financially secure, and she can live a privileged life. Everyone chimed in, one after another. The conclusion was that as long as Daniel kept Sarah from making a scene, the one at home wouldn't be able to cause too much trouble. They even congratulated Daniel, saying he was having it all. Listening to them, Chloe's face wrinkled up. She couldn't help but whisper disgusting in my ear. Then she added, although Mr. Sterling is a scumbag, what they're saying isn't entirely unreasonable. That young girl hasn't graduated yet, right? She has no family background, no capability. Making a scene wouldn't do her any good. What do you think? I nodded. She won't make a scene. In this society, everyone is a decent person. Anything can be discussed calmly. Divorce too. At this moment, Daniel put down his glass and spoke. Yes, Lily is useless except for her youth. Compared to her, she's not as intellectual as Sarah, but Sarah's proud personality knows how long she can tolerate it. I'm starting to regret getting married. Keeping a young mistress doesn't cost that much. But divorcing now would be too big a loss, so he was calculating the loss. Of course, Daniel and I were legally married. A divorce would mean splitting his post-marriage assets. Then I would grant Daniel his wish. I could relinquish all marital assets, but he would also have to bear the cost of my walking away with nothing. Until people dispersed, Sarah picked up a drunken Daniel. I watched from afar as the two hugged, lips pressed together. Perhaps they had suppressed it for too long. Once they got in the car started rocking. I silently recorded everything I had just witnessed then. I called my brother. Hey kiddo, what's up? Why are you calling so late? My brother's voice instantly touched the softest part of my heart. Pat, I couldn't help it. Tears streamed down my face. Kiddo, what's wrong? Are you crying? I was too choked up to speak. My brother immediately asked where I was. I told him an address, my voice muffled. Half an hour later, he appeared in front of me. I was huddled on the steps by the street, trembling. My brother took off his jacket and put it over me, sitting beside me in silence. Where's Daniel? He cheated. My brother froze, his jaw clenched tight. Where is he? It'll hurt him badly. I grabbed my brother's hand and shook my head. No need, it would only dirty your hands. My brother stomped his foot hard on the ground in frustration. But he wasn't satisfied. He asked me, are you getting divorced? I nodded without hesitation. Could it be a misunderstanding? I showed my brother the videos and photos stored on my phone. Even though I didn't say anything, my brother had already made up his mind. He immediately took out his phone and made a few calls. One way to contact his lawyer friend is to draft a divorce agreement for me. Another way to contact suppliers related to Danny Edling, those who had just reached a contract but hadn't signed, not to sign, those whose contracts were expiring, not to renew, and those whose contracts hadn't expired to revoke all discounts and conduct transactions at market price. After making the calls, my brother took my hand. Come on, let's go home. I shook my head, tears still in my eyes. Before going home, I want to move out first. My brother didn't hesitate and drove to the marital home I shared with Daniel. The marital home was bought by Daniel. I had nothing to miss about it. I had lived there for 3 years, but never expected to leave this way. If you want this house, your brother will get you the best lawyer to help you get it. No need, brother, anything tainted by Daniel. I feel dirty now. After moving out of that mansion, I wanted to wait for Daniel to contact me first before confronting him, but sadly, a week passed, and he hadn't even noticed I had moved out. He just sent a routine message saying, working late tonight, don't wait for me, but in reality, I saw him and Sarah going everywhere together every day. Chloe, after saying Sarah was the mistress, had been constantly targeted by the department manager. She had a massive workload, and I couldn't bear to watch her suffer alone, so I chose to work late with her. When we worked late into the night, we would often hear suggestive sounds from the CEO's office. Chloe couldn't help but complain, Mr. Sterling is so cheap, he doesn't even want to pay for a hotel room. I smiled helplessly. Maybe doing it in the office has more atmosphere. Just occasionally passing by, I couldn't help but record a few explicit videos on my phone. I just felt they might come in handy later. After diligently working late with Chloe, the entire internship period finally ended. Chloe expressed her desire to stay. Jobs are hard to find outside. Although I dislike Mr. Sterling, a person has to eat. I wished her success. She then asked if I wanted to stay. I told her that I just wanted to get my internship certificate and quickly leave this troubled place. But I didn't expect to be betrayed by a friend at the last minute. I became the only intern in the entire team who didn't meet the standard. I was unconvinced and asked the department supervisor for the reason. The supervisor just said it was Sarah's decision. I thought Sarah knew my identity and was intentionally targeting me, but unexpectedly, Chloe came clean to me that day when I said Sarah was the mistress. I don't know who heard it, but the word got out. All these days of working late, it wasn't Manager Henderson's arrangement. It was Sarah intentionally targeting us. I was dead meat, but because you kept working late with me. Chloe was crying uncontrollably. I need this job. I'm not as pretty as you, nor as smart as you. So I went to Sarah and put the blame for saying she was the mistress on you. I thought Sarah just wouldn't consider keeping you for the job. I didn't expect that she wouldn't even give you an internship certificate. I ruined things for you. I'm sorry. I laughed. I was completely furious, partially angry at my friend's betrayal, but even more furious at Sarah using her power to manipulate things and mixing personal revenge with business. It's okay. I forgive you. Don't cry anymore. Thank you for being a good friend to me during this time. From now on, I wish you a bright future. With that, I picked up the documents I had prepared for a long time and was about to leave. Chloe grabbed my hand, her face full of anticipation. Then about Sarah, I said calmly, "Don't worry, I accept this." Then, I raised my head and shouted across the entire office, "Sarah is the mistress. How can you not say it?" Instantly, everyone in the office stopped what they were doing and stared at me. Everyone's eyes were filled with shock, and I, holding the non-compliant internship report, walked straight into the conference room. At this moment, all the company's senior executives and managers were having their morning meeting. My arrival was inappropriate. The executives in the conference room frowned, showing some distaste for me, this clueless young girl. Yes, married to Daniel for 3 years. Yet not a single person in his company knew what Mrs. Sterling looked like, including Sarah. Among those present, only Daniel showed a hint of surprise when he saw me, but he didn't speak. The first to speak was Sarah, the meeting host. Sarah tilted her head, her exquisite mature face expressing a lot of disdain and impatience. What is so important that it has to be discussed now? I didn't hold back and asked, "Sarah, are you intentionally causing me trouble and refusing to give me an internship certificate because I said you were Mr. Sterling's mistress?" Hearing this, the others present looked at Sarah with slight surprise. Sarah froze, likely not expecting such boldness from a mere intern. She narrowed her eyes and said, "Since you already know, why bother asking?" Her denial was meaningless. There were already too many rumors circulating in the company to silence the gossip. She had to make an example of me, and in her eyes, I was that example. I met Sarah's gaze and raised my voice. "I'm sorry, Sarah. I shouldn't have said you were Mr. Sterling's mistress." Sarah's face showed slight embarrassment, but she still stood firm, arms crossed, looking down at me. Apologizing now is too late. I looked at Daniel. His face was dark, clearly displeased. But what did he have to be displeased about? He was the one who brought this shame upon himself. I sneered. "It's not too late. I'm going to set the record straight for Sarah right now." I pulled open the door behind me and raised my voice louder and louder. "Sarah is certainly not Mr. Sterling's mistress. In ancient times, to be a mistress, you'd first have to be acknowledged by me, the legal wife. A woman without a proper ceremony is just an outsider. She'd never be truly part of the Daniel family." My declaration made Sarah's face turn pale. The people present also realized who I was. Sarah did too. Everyone looked at Daniel. Daniel was already furious. Dated for a year, married for 3. This was the first time I had seen Daniel get angry. "Haven't you made enough of a scene?" How could it be enough? I wanted to handle things discreetly too, but you wouldn't let me. "I have no other request. Just give me the internship certificate." Daniel was so angry that his chest was heaving. Suppressing his rage, he still tried to speak for Sarah. "Whether the internship is satisfactory is determined by the department supervisor's evaluation. You shouldn't be looking for Sarah. You should talk to your direct supervisor." Sarah's posture was already shaky, but hearing Daniel defend her, she straightened up a little. Yes, I'm just Mr. Sterling's secretary. I can't make decisions about interns, sly ones, one faker than the last. The company was Daniel Sterling's. Whether or not to issue an internship certificate was just a word from him. Saying this just showed he didn't care about my face or my feelings. He cared more about maintaining Sarah's image in front of the company staff. The moment he spoke, I understood that Daniel had never intended to stand by me from the start. Fine. I met Daniel's eyes and said without hesitation, "What if I trade it for a divorce agreement?" I took out the divorce agreement and placed it on the table. I added, "I'll relinquish all marital assets in exchange for an internship certificate. You won't lose anything." Daniel Sterling is worth hundreds of millions, maybe even billions. My walking away with nothing undoubtedly meant giving up a lot of money. Not only did Sarah and Daniel's expressions change, but even the board members sitting in the conference room's eyes lit up. I don't know who led the way, but the rest followed, one by one. Leaving the conference room, these people had deep relationships with Sarah and Daniel. They naturally wouldn't have any negative opinions of them because of me, an outsider. On the contrary, they were happy because I was voluntarily giving up my claim. After all, without me to share Daniel's wealth, Daniel's position would be more stable. Sarah could then fully dedicate herself to Daniel and the company. "Daniel, I'll step out. You to talk." Daniel grabbed Sarah's hand. "No, stay, we have nothing to hide." What a show of nothing to hide. How disgusting. I had prepared myself mentally before coming, but seeing them holding hands like no one else was there finally pierced my heart. I took a deep breath, trying hard not to break down emotionally. I pushed the signed agreement towards the two of them. Daniel didn't look at it and handed it directly to Sarah. "Take a look. Can we sign this?" Sarah nodded and took the document, the corners of her mouth uncontrollably turning up. After a while, Sarah finished reading the agreement and said to Daniel, "It is indeed relinquishing all marital assets. This agreement can be signed." Saying that, Sarah handed Daniel a pen. Daniel didn't take it. Instead, he looked at me. "Are you sure you want a divorce?" "What else? I'm not a trash can, especially for recycling garbage. I advise you to reconsider. It's tough for a divorced woman to find a good catch. Sarah isn't that unable to tolerate you." Daniel could say such a thing. It was truly ridiculous. I looked at Sarah, whose expression was also of someone who can tolerate me, won't even give me an internship certificate. Sarah pulled at the corner of her mouth slightly, trying to argue something. I didn't give her the chance. "All right, I know what you're thinking. Just pretend I'm the bad guy. Just pretend I'm the third wheel stuck between you two. I don't care, right now. All I want is an internship certificate. That's the result I deserve for 3 months of hard work. As for these two people, they should stay far away, never see each other again in this lifetime." On the verge of tears, Daniel finally signed. The divorce agreement was in duplicate. We agreed to a 3-month waiting period before finalizing the divorce at City Hall. At the same time, my copy of the internship certificate, stamped by him, was given to me. Having obtained what I wanted, I turned to leave, but Daniel called out to me again. "Lily, you were impulsive today. I'll give you $20 million as compensation," I said. "Thanks, but consider this $20 million an early wedding gift for you too. Don't say it's too little." Seeing that Daniel and I were getting divorced, Sarah's tone became much bolder. "Lily, $20 million is enough for you to live comfortably for your whole life. Don't be dramatic. If I only wanted to live comfortably, why would I get a divorce?" "But according to you, shouldn't I not be getting divorced?" Sarah choked, probably afraid I wouldn't divorce. She simply shut up. Daniel took a deep breath and said earnestly, "Lily, you're too young. I've spoiled you too much all these years," I said calmly. "Precisely because I'm young, I can afford to play. What's the big deal about divorce? After everything, I'm only 21. I have a long road ahead. I can walk whatever path I want." When I got home, my brother was busy and didn't have time to accompany me, so Emily took me on a trip to relax and go shopping everywhere. My mood slowly calmed down. If Daniel hadn't come to my house, I would have almost forgotten about him. I saw Daniel outside the door with gifts from upstairs. A slight pang in my heart still lingered. Ever since your brother cut off his supplier's cooperation with Daniel, Sarah has been coming to see your brother often, wanting to talk about discounts and profits, but Sarah has some sense. Knowing she's a woman, she never came to the house, only intercepted your brother at the company. Your brother usually didn't give her a chance to see him. Now, Sterling Corp is probably having problems, and Daniel had no choice but to come himself. "Do you want to let him in?" Emily probably saw the unusual emotions in my eyes, so she specifically asked. I shook my head. No, brother isn't an impulsive person. If Daniel can bring him benefits beyond what others can offer, his brother will choose Daniel. Otherwise, why would brother choose him? Emily nodded. She also specifically said, "Your brother is just worried you can't let go." There's nothing I can't let go of. Since signing the divorce agreement until now, for such a long time, he hasn't called me once. That says something. He doesn't have me in his heart. So why should I keep thinking about him? Emily, I'm fine. Brother can do whatever he wants. It's good that you can see things. Emily sent Daniel away, but the next day, Daniel came again. This time, he brought different gifts than yesterday. Daniel was very thoughtful, considering many small details, making people feel he was a warm and reliable person. For a week straight, Daniel came every day, and if he couldn't see my brother, he would wait at the door, sometimes for the entire day, to be honest. If he had been there to reconcile with me, I might have genuinely not been able to resist letting him in. Sadly, he was only there for business. Emily still called my brother and asked him to handle Daniel's matter slightly, so I wouldn't be bothered by seeing Daniel all the time. My brother was sensible. He handled the matter immediately. Instead of revealing my relationship with my brother, he sent someone to Sterling Corp to tell Daniel the reason why they were no longer my brother's best choice. Daniel was convinced. After that, Daniel never appeared at my house door waiting for my brother again, but it was a small world. I still ran into someone I didn't want to see. My brother's company was holding a new product launch, inviting many industry big shots. I was free and decided to join the fun. Emily advised me to wear something bright, but I didn't want the trouble, so I wore casual clothes, planning to just eat and go home. While I was eating, a hand pushed me from behind, causing the cola I was holding to spill onto a wealthy woman. I rushed to apologize to her. The culprit spoke. "Mrs. Thompson's dress must be expensive, right? You'll have to pay a lot to compensate." Hearing a familiar voice, I turned and saw Sarah in a red dress. I hadn't seen her in a while, and she was getting more and more annoying. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Thompson. How much is the dress?" "I'll compensate you." Mrs. Thompson was busy wiping it off and was about to reply when Sarah interrupted her. "Mrs. Thompson's dress is a designer limited edition. It costs over $100,000. Can you afford to pay?" Mrs. Thompson frowned and immediately pulled me behind her, protectively. "Miss Miller, I'm not blind. It was you who pushed her just now, causing the cola in her hand to spill on me. I didn't even ask Lily to pay. You're being quite meddlesome." Mrs. Thompson's voice wasn't quiet. People nearby looked over. Sarah froze, not expecting to dig her own grave. I stood aside and sneered. Sarah thought I was just a helpless nobody, but Mrs. Thompson was Emily's friend, someone who had seen me many times, putting aside my brother's and Emily's connections. Just based on the affection of watching me grow up, Mrs. Thompson wouldn't possibly speak up for Sarah. Sarah swallowed. "I was just saying hello to this lady just now. I didn't push her." Mrs. Thompson snorted. "I know whether you pushed or not, of course. I don't intend to ask you to compensate me for this dress. I also know you're currently attached to a man whose company is about to go bankrupt without any formal status, so you must be short on cash." Sarah gritted her teeth, her eyes turning red after being lectured by Mrs. Thompson. Perhaps the commotion here was too loud. My brother also came over. What happened? Before I could say anything, Mrs. Thompson gave a concise explanation. My brother narrowed his eyes, looking at Sarah, his tone almost a command. "Apologize." It was well known that Sarah had something to ask of my brother. At this moment, she couldn't care about her pride. She gritted her teeth and spat out the words "I'm sorry," but she might still have been unconvinced. She also remembered that my brother had completely rejected her cooperation, so she immediately followed up. "Mr. Miller, this woman next to you is used goods. I wonder if Mrs. Miller knows how wild you are outside." My brother snorted. "If you have the guts, go tell my wife and see how she reacts." The people around also scoffed and dispersed. After that, I sat by my brother's side, enjoying the food and drinks. This ensured that those without discernment couldn't get near me again. As for Sarah, after being snubbed by my brother, she actively approached other business partners. But everyone seemed to have agreed beforehand and didn't give her any chance to talk. Even the business cards she handed out were casually discarded on the floor. This was probably the most embarrassing moment in Sarah's career, until Daniel came over. She complained to Daniel with red eyes. Daniel comforted her for a while, then he walked towards me. My brother frowned and asked if I wanted him to kick Daniel out. I shook my head. No need, I want to see what he says first, brother. You can go back to being busy. I'll call you if I need anything. My brother was understanding and immediately moved away from me. Daniel was now sitting across from me. His eyes were as bright and sparkling as ever, but his expression held undeniable fatigue. It seemed his company had encountered quite a few problems recently. Lily, long time no see. Daniel didn't know that I had seen him pestering around my house just last week. Is this your choice? I was startled. What choice? Being the other woman, it turned out he had misunderstood my relationship with my brother. I raised an eyebrow. He curled his lips, his eyes mocking. Why be someone's mistress instead of being a perfectly good Mrs. Sterling? Is it interesting? I played along. It's all right. Not entirely uninteresting. His tone grew heavier. Stop messing around. I'll pretend I never saw that divorce agreement. Come back to me, and you'll still be Mrs. Sterling. I suddenly laughed, even failing to understand. What are you talking about? He took a deep breath and said, I understand you want revenge on me, but don't be so naive. Trading your youth for a man's temporary affection is meaningless. You won't gain anything. David Miller isn't suitable for you. He will not divorce and marry you. Don't waste your effort. David Miller was my brother's name. I waited quietly for Daniel to continue. I didn't contact you while you were away because I wanted you to taste some hardship, but I didn't expect you to go to extremes. This is my fault, but Sarah has poured her heart and soul into the company and has borne too much pressure. 90% of the company's projects were signed by Sarah. I need her. You should understand, instead of doing this. David Miller retaliated against me. It's too petty. In a few words, Daniel seemed to admit his mistake, but he had no intention of changing the outcome of having it all. I curved my lips and replied with a smile. There are a few things you might have misunderstood. What things? I picked at the fruit platter in front of me, playing idly with a fruit fork. Then, I said word by word, most of the projects Sarah signed came from Miller Industries, and the executive of Miller Industries, David Miller, is my brother. Daniel's eyebrows knitted together. How is that possible? Your last names are different. Our family practices gender equality. My brother took our father's last name, and I took our mother's. If you don't believe me, should I ask my brother and Emily to come prove it? Daniel paused. So, the projects Sarah signed before were actually from you. I chuckled lightly. That's right. My brother, seeing my relationship with him, intentionally supported his brother-in-law. Now that his sister is divorced, there's no more reason to help a brother-in-law. Honestly, you've made a fortune these past few years, but you've caused my brother quite a bit of trouble. His face darkened. I continued, blind expansion, disregarding product quality, constantly demanding higher profits from Miller Industries using the discounts Miller Industries gave. If it weren't for this divorce, honestly, I wouldn't have known how much hardship my brother's employees had to endure. By this point, Daniel also pursed his lips. I handed the interface work over to Sarah. I didn't expect her to. I didn't want to hear Daniel's explanation. Instead, I opened a video and showed it to Daniel. In the video, Sarah was walking hand in hand with a fat, 50-year-old man into a discreet hotel. They were laughing and talking, and the man's hand was restlessly wandering over Sarah's body. Daniel's face turned completely black. I consoled him. You should know the man in the video. He's a supplier for Atlantic Corp. Sarah truly loves you anyway. I couldn't do what she does. Cherish her well. I wish you both happiness. Leaving the banquet hall, I hadn't even arrived home when my brother called, after you left. Daniel also left. Sarah was chasing after him. They argued, and Daniel pushed Sarah to the ground without an ounce of tenderness. Daniel is a cruel person. It's a good thing you saw through him. I asked calmly, brother, how long do you think Sterling Corp can last? My brother calculated. Maybe a month or two, maybe a year or two. It depends on whether Daniel still has the opportunity. He's capable, but he's not good at judging people. Besides Sarah, that group of old employees in his company isn't easy to deal with either. It's just that compared to Sarah, those people would chew you up and spit you out. Yes, thinking of that group of people in Sterling Corp, unable to distinguish right from wrong, flattering and fawning, they would ultimately drag Daniel down. Graduation ceremony. Chloe also returned to the university to pick up her diploma. I ran into her, and she looked quite haggard. It seemed she hadn't had an easy time at Sterling Corp. She saw me and greeted me. I ignored her. She was persistent, blocking my path, and kept apologizing to me. I'm sorry. Can you forgive me? I didn't mean to do it back then. I was helpless. I accept your apology, and I accept your I'm sorry. But for us to be as close as before, isn't that too difficult? Chloe's eyes turned red, and she understood what I meant, but she still told me about the situation at Sterling Corp. Mr. Sterling's company has been declared bankrupt. The board members put all the debt on Mr. Sterling. That group on the board had already given company secrets to competitor companies as leverage when they planned to switch jobs. Now Mr. Sterling is probably at his wits' end, and Sarah Miller got involved in a sex scandal. Several wives of executives ganged up and beat her up at the company. I was startled and became interested. Chloe told me a few more details. Sarah had broken bones. She was beaten badly all over. Sarah was furious and wanted to force Daniel to marry her to silence the gossip. But Daniel refused. Furthermore, Daniel personally published the video of Sarah and the older man going to the hotel online. Sarah was going crazy, claiming that everything she did was to save Sterling Corp. Daniel was completely ungrateful, and they started yelling at each other. While arguing, Sarah got physical. Daniel fought back, hitting her very hard, even breaking the office desk. After that, Sarah left the company. Daniel took over the businesses Sarah had handled and started running around, but the results were predictable. I've only heard this much gossip for now. I was laid off after that, and the company couldn't even give me severance pay. I still have to find a new job now. I gave Chloe a business card. I told her to go see the person on the card, and they would arrange a job for her. Chloe was extremely grateful to me. Saying goodbye to her, I felt a sense of this wasn't in the table, translating the meaning. Lament or sigh, perhaps I hadn't expected things to unfold so quickly. 3 months passed. Daniel and I agreed to finalize the divorce at City Hall. In front of City Hall, he stood tall and straight, appearing before me with a bouquet in his hands. With tears in his eyes, he apologized and admitted his mistakes, wanting me to give him another chance. I completely ignored him. He didn't cherish me when we were together. Now that I had left, he was putting on this pathetic act. Lily, I misjudged people. If Sarah hadn't actively seduced me, I wouldn't have done such a foolish thing. I love you. I only love you. His display of deep affection felt cheap since the divorce until now. If he had contacted me even once, I might have still held on to some past sentiment, but for such a long time, he hadn't contacted me even once. He was arrogant. He was stubborn. He thought I couldn't live without him, so he kept his distance. Perhaps he even thought I would accept all his mistakes and future potential ones, so he was stringing me along like this. It could be said that if he and Sarah were together and doing well, he definitely wouldn't have regretted divorcing me. Thinking about such a self-serving individual was disgusting. I looked at him and pulled out a business card to give him. This is the contact information for a close friend of mine. Her father is at the state procurement office and is in charge of construction procurement. He should be able to help you a lot. She just turned 18 this year and has been wanting a thoughtful boyfriend. I think you fit her criteria pretty well. Why don't you give it a try? Daniel took the business card, his eyes gleaming slightly. Then do you think she'll mind that I'm old? The moment he said that, I laughed. Daniel's face fell. See? Just a small test. And he couldn't handle it. He even said he only loved me in this lifetime. What a phony. He immediately realized and denied his previous question, clearly showing his purpose for coming today was to reconcile. No. I was asking if you still mind me. I want to make up. Can we not get divorced, Lily? I mind. I refused him frankly, leaving him momentarily unable to continue his act of deep affection. I advised him, try to see the bigger picture. Let's get the divorce first. If you make me happy, I might introduce you to more of my wealthy close friends, although they're a bit older. They're still good in bed, and they look pretty good. With a little touch-up, they can be presentable. His face flushed slightly. I didn't know why he was being shy, but ultimately, he should understand that there was no future for him and me. After finalizing the divorce, Daniel was still chasing me, asking about the preferences of the girl on the business card I had given him. I made up some things and told him I was in a hurry, leaving him to contact her himself. After getting into the car, I received a call from Daniel. He was furious. Lily, what kind of business card did you give me? When I called, they asked if I wanted half service or full service. What does $300 per time, $800 per night mean? I was startled. Oh, so that's what it is. I don't know who put it on my car window. I just took it down and gave it to you. Oops, I was just kidding with you. Don't get angry. Getting angry makes you look old. The wealthy women's circle likes mature and charming men, but not old-looking ones. Daniel cursed loudly. I hung up and blocked all of Daniel's contact information. After graduation, I seriously considered the choice between taking over the family business and going abroad for further study. I chose the latter. It was so much more fun playing around every day. The schemes and betrayals of the business world could be left to my brother and Emily. I just didn't expect to run into an acquaintance while waiting at the airport. It was Sarah. She was wearing a face mask and was holding hands with a 70-year-old man, calling him baby. She saw me and shamelessly came up to talk to me. She asked if I knew how Daniel was doing. I replied. She smiled. "Oh, I don't know who gave that bastard advice, but he did manage to get into the wealthy women's circle. I told him if he married me and we settled down, I'd have a chance to make a comeback, but that guy thought I was poor." She put her sunglasses back on. "After all, you should thank me. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't know how long that trash would have dragged you down." After saying that, Sarah left. I raised an eyebrow. My phone was still playing the video of Daniel doing a striptease in front of my group of friends. Tsk, what a scumbag. Immediately, I sent a message to my friends group chat. $1,000 a drink, please help me ruin him. After studying abroad for several years, I lived a relaxed and happy life, having forgotten everything that happened back home. But one time, by chance, a friend took me to a bar. I saw Daniel pole dancing on the stage. For a moment, I thought I was seeing things. Since he was an old acquaintance, I couldn't help but watch him more while drinking. I saw young girls throwing money at him and buying him drinks. I also saw him shamelessly asking for money from wealthy young women. I couldn't help but sigh. My past self had truly been blind. After paying the bill, my friend and I went home. Daniel was shouting for customers at the entrance and got splashed with alcohol. He humbled himself, apologizing to the customer. As he looked up, he accidentally caught sight of me. "Lily," he spoke. I curled my lips, took out some change from my bag, and gave it to him. His body stiffened. I had already gotten into the car. In the rearview mirror, he stood rooted to the spot, motionless. I wondered what thoughts were going through those eyes that had lost their spark, but ultimately, there was no use in regretting many things.